Chapter 132. Little girl, how old are you? 20. Where do you want to go to school? After knowing that Su Anan was Gu Mosheng's wife, the old ladies curiously asked Su Anan questions one after another. They wanted to find the type their son liked from Su Anan so that they could find a daughter-in-law. Anan, go eat breakfast. Old Lady Gu said to Su Anan, and then to the old lady, don't ask so many questions. You have tired of asking my son's wife. Su Anan heaved a sigh of relief. She did not need to face the lot of them to size her up. Old Lady Gu stood up. Let's scrape the mahjong. Su Anan, who had just turned her body, heard this and exclaimed that Old Lady Gu's strength was not bad. All right. The three of them agreed immediately. Old Lady Gu's card skills were too bad. They had won a large amount of money this time. How could they not agree? Our Xiao family will hold a banquet in a few days. Are you coming? Xiao Yan's mother asked the Old Lady Gu. Old Lady Gu did not answer, but heard her say, Xiang family's old granny also came. Come. Old Lady Gu was startled and immediately replied. With that, the Old Lady Gu looked at Su Anan, who was about to enter the dining hall, and said, I'll bring my daughter-in-law. The weather in Peace City was also getting worse, and it rained for a few days. Gu Mosheng said that although it would rain harder in the Jingcheng, he would be back as soon as possible. As time passed, Su Anan's longing for him grew stronger and stronger. She lived in the Gu mansion and asked to go to school. The old lady Gu asked the driver to take her there. In the old house, Su Anan could tell that Gu Zhen and Old Lady Gu were very lonely living in such a huge manor. Because of the matter of last time, Gu Zhen didn't dare let Su Anan drink again. On the dining table with Su Anan, they no longer felt that the house was deserted. When Old Lady Gu was free, she would bring her to the villa at the side to visit. The madam liked her and would call her her son's wife when she saw her. She was really happy that her son had gotten married and had children. The old lady liked her company, hence Su Anan listened to her and went back and forth to school. It was just that sometimes, when the driver uncle was driving too slowly and did not overtake others on the road, it made Su Anan, who was used to driving faster, feel uncomfortable. Today, the sky was still filled with drizzling rain as Su Anan rested. Gu Mosheng said that he would visit the Peace City this afternoon, and the old lady Gu quickly asked the servants to prepare the dishes that Gu Mosheng liked to eat. Su Anan helped too. She really wanted for Gu Mosheng to leave home for 7 days. In these 7 days, Su Anan felt that he had left for a very long time, and felt that the words that the ancients said, 1 day of not meeting each other, like 3 years of not meeting each other, was very reasonable. After finishing lunch, Su Anan anxiously stayed on her phone. From the Jingcheng to the Peace City, it took Gu Mosheng around 3 o'clock to reach the airport. But Su Anan was very anxious. She wanted to rush to the airport immediately to see him. Old Lady Gu saw Su Anan's anxiety clearly, and she teased, Little girl? You've succeeded? Su Anan blushed red as she nodded. Su Anan's acknowledgement made Old Lady Gu smile. She liked people who were straightforward. If she liked them, she liked them. The one Gu Mosheng found 10 years ago wouldn't have been able to. She wouldn't even dare to admit it in front of her if she liked it or not. Cheng Cheng's judgment of people had improved. This was something similar to her. Don't worry, he'll be here by 4. The old lady Gu said. Su Anan obviously knew that she would be able to see him today, but she really wanted to see him right now. She was truly burning with anxiety when she was missing someone. Young people are very anxious to be in love these days. Gu Zhen had an opinion on Su Anan and said unhappily. Old Lady Gu was displeased. Weren't you like this in the past? Who was not impatient when pursuing love in their youth? Being prodded by the old lady Gu Zhen immediately shut his mouth. Su Anan pursed her lips and watched the argument between old lady Gu and Gu Zhen. She felt that the two of them were truly blessed to be able to be in love with each other at such a young age. Gu Zhen's love for the old lady Gu in particular was something that ordinary men couldn't compare to. He was already an old man, so Gu Mosheng wouldn't let her go so easily. Daddy is so nice to mommy. As Su Anan said this, she thought of Su Hua. Early on, Su Ruoshu had told her that her mother had cut off all relations with her family for Su Hua, and that she had to suffer in order to start a business with him. Su Hua was also very good to her mother in the beginning. People change when they come into contact with money. Su Hua still betrayed her and did something to let her mother down. Well, yes. She reached out her hand to hold Gu Zhen's hand and laughed. It's not easy for a person to meet someone they love, even if they loved themselves. Therefore, we should properly cherish the happiness before our eyes. Su Anan felt that the old lady's words made a lot of sense. Annan, Mo Chang will treat you well. Old Lady Ga said. She normally called Gu Mo Chang success, and this time she solemnly mentioned the two words Mo Chang. She was just as lucky as Su Anan. Back then, she had met Gu Zhen at a time when she was in a sorry state, and Gu Zhen had always been very good to her. Not long after, Old Lady Gu and Gu Zhen fell asleep on the sofa. They grew old, watched the television, closed their eyes and went to sleep. They were also waiting for Gu Mo Sheng, since their son's mood when they wanted to see him was no worse than Su Anan's. Su Anan looked over. The two of them were holding hands without loosening their grip. The old lady Ga was truly blessed. Su Anan suddenly wanted to know how they were together. Gu Zhen's character should be around the same as Gu Mo Sheng's, so he should be cold and indifferent towards everyone. Su Anan was about to turn off the television, but when she saw the news that suddenly popped up, she was immediately stunned. When she heard the words Jing Cheng to Peace City's plane, her tears fell one by one. Gu Zhen was woken up by the sound coming from the television. He opened his eyes and looked, and the hand holding Old Lady Gu trembled a little. Turn off the TV, Gu Zhen said to Su Anan in a bland voice. Su Anan was so immersed in the news that she didn't hear what Gu Zhen said. Give me the remote, Gu Zhen said in a stern voice. Su Anan reacted and passed the remote control over with tears. But it was already too late. When Old Lady Gu woke up, she heard Gu Zhen's words. What do you mean to Anan? Watch TV for Anan. As she spoke, she looked at the television in front of her. The matter regarding the plane crash was still being played. When the old lady Gu heard it, she was stunned. All right, it's fine, Gu Zhen said. Let's make a phone call and ask Mo Cheng. Nothing. What do you mean nothing? The moment he finished speaking, the old lady Gu came out crying. Back then, you told me that Jing Xing was fine, but that? He's dead. He's dead. When she mentioned her deceased eldest son, old lady Gu was extremely excited. She started to cry loudly. In this lifetime, her life went too smoothly, so when she reached middle age, her eldest son was taken away by the god. While Su Anan was crying in Old Lady Ga, she took out her phone and called Gu Mo Cheng. Gu Mo Cheng's phone was turned off, but Su Anan continued to call. She did not think too much and directly walked towards the main gate. Old Lady Gu followed her out first. There were only 2 cars in Gu Mansion. The one that was so nice to drive was repaired by the driver at home. Su Anan went in, and with the car key in the middle, Old Lady Gu and Gu Zhen also went in. To get to Peace City's airport, they had to go by high speed. It was a weekend, so there were a lot of cars going to the airport. Su Anan immediately left the Gu Mansion and drove on the high speed. In the news, it was said that the plane from Jing Cheng to Peace City had been struck by lightning due to the weather. Gu Mokang was in that plane. This was the thought that came to mind when she was driving. The old lady Gu in the back seat cried as she thought about her eldest son who had passed away. If I fail to succeed, then I don't want to live anymore. The white-haired person always sent the black-haired person. She could not bear these shocks. What nonsense! Gu Zhen's worry for Gu Mo Sheng was not inferior to that of Old Lady Gu and Su Anan. After he read the news, he wanted to give a call to the people of the Guz and ask the others who followed Gu Mo Sheng to the Jing Cheng. Being played by the Old Lady Gu and Su Anan, he did not have the time to make a phone call, nor did he bring his phone out. Right now, they could only go to the airport to have a look. Mo Cheng will be fine, Gu Zhen said. However, his heart was still in turmoil. How could he not be worried before being certain? The man on the plane was his only son. Woo. Old Lady Gu continued to cry. It took a lot of effort for me to get married. This grandson didn't even give birth to her, and she's gone. The more she thought about it, the more sad she felt, and the more she thought about the past Gu Jingxing. Old Lady Gu's crying made Su Anan's heart even heavier. Her eyes became wet, affecting her line of sight. Gu Zhen saw Su Anan's tears through the rearview mirror and said, Anan, focus on driving. As she said that, Su Anan suddenly sped up. With the increase in traffic, Su Anan followed them anxiously. Under the influence of the Old Lady Gu's emotions, she didn't have time to bother with any other speeds and sped up. She steered the car to the left and to the right. The car immediately sped up to 150, passing by on both sides of the road. Old Lady Gu, who was in the back seat, stopped crying. Gu Zhen saw that Su Anan's speed and technique of speeding was not something that an ordinary person could control. If you're not careful enough, you'll bump into the car behind you or the car in front of you. But Su Anan drove very steadily. Old man. The old lady Gu also found it strange. As she said that, Gu Zhen lowered his head and looked at the seatbelt on her body. It's fine. Gu Zhen held onto Old Lady Gu's hand. It's all because of you. What are you saying about saving? Are you using your private jet? Every time, Mo Cheng has to catch a plane by himself. Old Lady Gu started to blame Gu Zhen again. A plane crash was something that Gu Zhen could not control. Now that something happened, he could only answer to the Old Lady Gu. The two of them had given birth to two sons. One was gone, while the other was gone. Yes, it was my fault, Gu Zhen said as he tightly held onto Old Lady Gu's hand. The most important thing right now was to get to the airport as fast as possible. The three of them hurriedly got out and forgot their phones. Only at the airport did he manage to calm down a little. Usually, it would take more than an hour to get to Peace City Airport. However, with Sue and Anne's skill, she drove for more than 20 minutes. When they arrived at the open space in the airport parking lot, Sue Anan did a beautiful drift, and surprisingly parked in the reverse direction. The rotation of the carriage scared Old Lady Gu so much that she hugged Gu Zhen. Sue Anan was worried about Gu Mosheng, so she couldn't care less about Gu Zhen and Old Lady Gu feeling curious about her powerful driving skills. If Gu Mosheng was no longer around, then what was there to fear? After Sue Anan got off the car, Old Lady Gu and Gu Zhen got off. Old Lady Gu felt dizzy. She had to admit that she was old. Sue Anan turned to look at Gu Zhen and Old Lady Gu. She realized that she was driving too fast and had been scared off by them. Mom, are you all right? Sue Anan asked. Old Lady Gu waved her hand, quickly go to the airport's information desk and ask. She indicated for Sue Anan to go to the airport hall. Then, she stood up and followed Sue Anan to the hall. The crash had been on the news, but the family members on the plane were not as quick as they were. Sue Anan and the rest should be the first family members to arrive at the airport to ask. Let us see the names of the people on the flight from Jingcheng to Peace City, Sue Anan asked anxiously as soon as she arrived at the interrogation room. The staff had already prepared the list and handed it over to Sue Anan. When Sue Anan received the list, she was immediately stunned when she saw Gu Mosheng's name written on it. Old Lady Gu, who was behind, immediately went forward to take a look. Gu Zhen snatched it over and upon seeing his son's name on it, couldn't help but turn pale. How could this be? Gu Zhen. Seeing Gu Zhen's expression, Old Lady Gu could guess that something had really happened to Gu Mocheng. It's all your fault. Give your son back to me. When the three of them were extremely sad and despairing, the airport personnel rushed into the hall. When they saw Gu Zhen, he heaved a sigh of relief. Is it Old Man Gu? Because he came straight from the upper floor, he panted and said, A call from Mr. Gu? Mr. Gu? Sue Anan was startled. Her gray eyes suddenly lit up. Old Lady Gu also stopped crying. She urged the stunned Gu Zhen, hurry and answer the phone. Gu Zhen reacted. He picked up the phone and answered the call. Dad, I'm fine. After hearing Gu Mosheng's voice, the rock that was pressing heavily on his chest suddenly dropped down. The pressure on him was no less than that on Old Lady Gu and Sue Anan. Good. After Gu Zhen said this word, his vision went black and he suddenly fell to the ground. The impact of Gu Mosheng's accident was too great for him. He forced himself to stay there and guard Old Lady Gu, afraid that if she fell, Old Lady Gu would also collapse. So when he heard Gu Mosheng's voice, he confirmed that his own son was all right, and that's why he fainted. A Zhen. When Old Lady Gu saw that Gu Zhen had collapsed, the tears that she had wanted to stop ran out again. When she was young, she was stubborn. When everything happened, she liked to swallow her tears down. When she grew older, she would instead cry. It was all the fault of a man who had fainted. Sue Anan began to hear from the person who called Gu Mocheng, and when she heard the old man say the word good on the phone, she heaved a sigh of relief, thinking that Gu Mocheng was all right. But when she saw Gu Zhen unconscious on the ground, she started to worry. She thought that she must have driven too fast and scared Gu Zhen to death. Father. When everyone at the airport saw that something had happened to Gu Zhen, they immediately sent people to carry the old man away. Someone picked up the phone that was lying on the floor. Because of the commotion, Gu Mosheng did not hang up the phone and waited. Hubby. Sue Anan did not encounter enough trouble. In an afternoon, it was Gu Mosheng who met with mishaps. It was Gu Zhen who fainted again as she sobbed. Anan, send my father to the hospital first. Gu Mocheng calmly explained. I will contact Han Longyi. The old tutor's heart wasn't too well. As he grew older, all sorts of problems arose. I know, Sue Anan replied. She looked at the unconscious Gu Zhen and Old Lady Gu. There were no tears in her eyes. There was an additional trace of resolution. Since Gu Mocheng wasn't here, she had to take good care of the two elders. I know what to do, so you can rest assured, Sue Anan said again. Although she really wanted to ask where Gu Mocheng was, She knew that the most important thing right now was to send Gu Zhen to the hospital. For Gu Mocheng to be able to call, it showed that he was fine. Su Anan accompanied Old Lady Gu onto the car. In the car, Old Lady Gu held Gu Zhen's hand the entire time. She did not panic like when she just found out about Gu Mocheng's accident. This kind of Old Lady Gu made Su Anan feel even worse. For a person to not even cry when her husband fainted, that could only mean one thing. Su Anan didn't dare to think further. She was shocked that they had already loved each other to the point of life and death. Arriving at the hospital, Gu Zhen was sent to the emergency room for treatment. Su Anan quietly accompanied Old Lady Gu, while the old lady stared at the emergency room intently. She did not say anything, and Su Anan did not know what to say to comfort her. One must always grow old, and then face life and death and illness. Gu Zhen was too old to bear the brunt of the incident with Gu Mocheng. Not long after, Han Longyi arrived. As he walked, he gave Gu Mocheng a call and told him that he was here. "Sister-in-law, accompany Aunt Yan," Han Longyi said to Su Anan. He glanced at Old Lady Gu and rushed into the emergency room. Han Longyi and Old Lady Gu were both from the same Han family, but they were of different bloodlines. "I'm sorry." Su Anan felt that she drove too fast, causing Gu Zhen to suddenly faint. Old Lady Gu looked at Su Anan and said, "Silly child, why are you apologizing?" "I drove too fast," Su Anan said. Old Lady Gu shook her head and pulled Su Anan's hand. "If you hadn't driven fast enough and couldn't pick up Mo Cheng's phone, he would have died earlier." Gu Zhen fainted because he could not stand the excitement of Gu Mocheng's incident. He forcefully held on because he wanted to give her support. Su Anan listened to Old Lady Gu's hand and shook it back. "Mom, everything will be fine." Old Lady Gu smiled. "He's fine, so I'm fine." This sentence completely revealed the thoughts in Old Lady Gu's heart. Gu Zhen fainting caused her to appear too quiet. It didn't mean that Old Man Gu's condition was clear to her, so she decided to accompany him. Su Anan didn't know what to say. She could only hold Old Lady Gu's hand tightly, making it less cold. She did not know how long she waited until the sky slowly darkened. Old Lady Gu stared at the operation room and did not move an inch. When she reached the back, Gu Mocheng came over. With a dark expression, he walked over, his footsteps becoming more anxious and anxious. Gu Mocheng looked at Su Anan, and his gaze landed on Old Lady Gu's body. "Mom?" "He's coming." Old Lady Gu turned and looked at Gu Mocheng. "I'm sorry for making the two of you worried," Gu Mocheng said apologetically. "The matter had started because of him. When he was young, he wanted to create a world that would protect me and let me have a carefree life. The sky is out, but your father's body is broken." Seeing how Old Lady Gu spoke so freely, people felt uncomfortable. "Mo Cheng, you can't earn all of the money. The Gu family has enough for you. You have to take care of yourself in the future." "I know." Gu Mocheng sat beside Old Lady Gu and said. As they spoke, the lights in the operating room jumped off. Gu Mocheng stood up and walked forward first, then turned his head to look at Old Lady Gu. Old Lady Gu grabbed onto her clothes tightly, not daring to look at him. Han Longyi came out first and said to Gu Mocheng, "Mocheng, it's fine." Hearing the word fine, Gu Mocheng heaved a sigh of relief. Old Lady Gu, who was originally sitting down, immediately stood up. Su Anan supported her forward, and when Old Lady Gu saw the unconscious Gu Zhen, she laughed. "You old fogey, yet you are still so scary." As she spoke, she smiled. In this short afternoon, the Gu family had made 2 false surprises. Gu Zhen was fine. He stayed in the ward, but when Old Lady Gu heard that he was fine, and saw that Gu Mocheng had returned safely, she completely relaxed. She suddenly felt hungry, so she ordered a lot of food from Gu Mocheng, and told him to bring Su Anan to buy them. Su Anan remembered every single thing that Old Lady Gu wanted to eat, and they were all the famous delicacies in Peace City. The 2 of them walked out of the hospital. Gu Mocheng, who was walking in front, suddenly stopped in his tracks. She raised her head and looked at Gu Mocheng. After 1 week of not seeing him, Su Anan felt that he had become thinner in her eyes. Su Anan then thought about the plane crash, and how she felt in despair and grief when she thought that something had happened to Gu Mocheng. Seeing that Su Anan was still crying, Gu Mocheng asked, "What's wrong?" He reached out to take Su Anan into his embrace. "What are you crying for?" "I thought you were really gone," Su Anan said while crying. If he was gone, what would she do? At that time, Su Anan's brain was in a mess. She only had one thought in her mind, to go to the airport to find Gu Mocheng. Although she knew very well that the plane had crashed, it was useless for her to go to the airport. "I'm here," Gu Mocheng said, his mind thinking about his parents' feelings. All these years, Gu Zhen doted on old lady Gu and thought that he had overdone it. But when he saw old lady Gu waiting outside the operation room, he suddenly felt that they loved each other. Gu Zhen was willing to pamper his wife, but old lady Gu liked to be pampered by her husband. This was love, and they were willing to use their own ways to manage it. There was nothing that they were unwilling to do. "I'm so afraid you were gone." Su Anan cried. She threw herself into Gu Mocheng's embrace and smelled his body. She felt worse and cried even harder. Although it was already night by the hospital entrance, there were a lot of people entering and exiting. Seeing her crying so loudly, Gu Mocheng carried her to the car. The inside of the car was quieter than outside. Su Anan, who was sitting in the front seat, was still sobbing. When she saw Gu Mocheng, she became even more agitated. "Anan?" Gu Mocheng handed over a tissue. "You saved me and my dad." Su Anan wiped her tears and looked at Gu Mocheng in puzzlement. "Before we boarded the plane, I forgot to go to the Exu to get you a necklace." Saying that, Gu Mocheng took out a box from the carriage. "Didn't you say that the present you sent that day doesn't count? Wait until the day before you get another present." Su Anan stared at Gu Mocheng blankly. She had only said that casually, but Gu Mocheng remembered it. "That's why you rushed back to get the jewelry and forgot the time of registration." "Yes," Gu Mocheng replied. He looked at the tears at the corner of Su Anan's eyes and reached out to wipe them away. "Tell me, did you save me?" Before boarding the plane, he thought of the jewelry that was given to Su Anan in the hotel room. He hurried back. When he came back, the plane had taken off. All they had to do was buy a flight. Because he was rushing back and forth to get the jewelry, he forgot to call Su Anan or the Gu family. More than an hour had passed by the time he thought about it. Gu Mocheng called Su Anan and the others, but no one answered. In the waiting room, he saw the news that something had happened to the plane he was on earlier. Gu Mocheng guessed the reason why he couldn't reach them on his phone and called the Gu mansion. Just as he had thought, Gu Zhen, Su Anan, and the other two in a hurry were on their way to the airport, forgetting to bring their phones with them. He followed the person in charge of the Peace City airport and contacted them, telling them to find Gu Zhen and the others at the airport. The assistant said that it was lucky that he went back to get the gift for Su Anan and delayed the flight. Only then did they manage to stay alive. So, it was Su Anan who saved their lives. If Gu Mocheng was gone, leaving behind the old Gu Zhen couple and Gu Ziming who only knew how to play, the Gu family would very quickly be annexed by the other families. "Anan, you are my lucky star," Gu Mocheng said. Tears rolled down Su Anan's face again. "You have to bring me a present when you travel in the future." After Gu Mocheng replied with amen, he threw himself into her embrace. "Gu Mocheng, I love you." After experiencing this event, Su Anan clearly knew that she no longer liked this man, but rather loved him deeply. When Gu Zhen fainted, the old lady Gu had a thought to follow him. Su Anan had been thinking at the time, if something really happened to Gu Mocheng, would she have the same idea? When she saw Gu Mocheng in the hospital, Su Anan was certain of her intentions. She loved Gu Mocheng, and she already loved him a lot. "If you're gone, I'll go with you," Su Anan said again.